This is so funny because I don't know if you heard this rumor, but there was this rumor going around that Doug Christie was suing Chris Webber for $4.6 million because of the paternity of Jackie Christie and Doug Christie's child. So that was the rumor, that Chris Webber was really the father.
What if I told you that the woman who built an entire TV empire through deceit, manipulation, and reality show theatrics was destroyed by a few text messages? Yes, take note of this, as Chris Webber not only sought justice, but also brought receipts to the courtroom.
And this is crazy to come up at this big age of this child. She's in her 30s.
And so this rumor was so rampant that my girl Keys was at my house and she was like, did you hear that Doug Christie and I was like, wait, I don't know if because anyway, Chris Webber, who normally would not address such a thing, went on social media and said this.
That's why I'm gonna give this friendly reminder to some of my friends out there that you can't believe everything you read, see, or hear on the internet, especially when they're all lies. No proof, just made up lies. So I'm gonna take this opportunity to issue my one and only advisory. If you have a platform and you have content with my name attached to lies, take it down now.
Voice memos, screenshots, bank transfers, and real ones with Jackie Christie's name, voice, and scandal-stained fingerprints. And guess what? These were not just "I miss you" texts. They were "hide the money, Doug can't find out," and "wait for it, tell Chantel she was an accident." You heard right.
And to those that started the rumor, that started the lies and then continued to spread the lies, I dare you not to take it down. I dare you to repeat a lie. You're not going to defame my name. Of course, the lawyers are in action. Of course, the lawyers are in motion and are motivated.
In front of a crowded courtroom, Chris Webber exposed every aspect of Jackie's double life, including fake charities, secret hotel stays, and messages suggesting that Jackie had a second abortion while having an affair with Chris. The jury gasped, Jackie was trembling, silent, and completely exposed, and Doug nearly passed out. How did we get here then? How did Chris get those texts? And what else is Jackie hiding behind her well-groomed exterior? I promise you that the rabbit hole is much deeper. Let's begin. What started out as a normal court day descended into a full-scale media meltdown when Chris Webber did more than just testify. He exploded. Imagine the sound of all the jaws in the room hitting the floor at once, as Jackie Christie's game was over the moment he pulled out those texts. We're talking about messages that are so ludicrous and damning that even the court reporter had to take a moment to mutter, "What the actual?" while pausing his typing. But before we get started, let's take a step back, because this was never just about the courtroom. Decades of loyalty, passion, and deceit exploded in front of flashing cameras. Chris Webber came into the courtroom with a daughter stuck in the middle, a shaky judge, and a slim black folder. By the time he left, Jackie's reputation was tarnished. What were those texts about? Chantel, who reportedly sobbed as she left the courthouse, refused to speak to either of them while Doug begged his lawyer for sympathy. Who sent what, and why did Chris feel the need to make them public now? Let's take it all back, boss. Part 1 will start now and will be a thorough 1,200-word blast. 3 weeks ago, no one could have imagined that Chris Webber, who is cool under pressure and always in the background, would be the one to light the courtroom on fire. But even the security guard at the door, who entered the room on the morning of the hearing with that slim black folder in his hand and a deadpan expression on his face, looked uneasy. Now, Jackie, picture this. Christy, seated in the front row, held her head high as if Doug were going to chop off her emotional head. Christy looked tired, pale, and barely blinking. And Chantel, who wasn't even there, was reportedly told by her therapist to avoid high Tiger situations.
My brother from the Fab Five, Chris Webber, name is in the news now. And Chris Webber has a video out now where a lot of stuff he's not happy about. And I want to say to the brother Chris Webber, man, do you know once your name is out there, all of these people who do these, especially the AI videos.
It was karma providing VIP front row seats to a truth that had been kept hidden for far too long before it began, and it was more than just Doug's sentencing hearing. As the judge calls Weber to the stand, the cameras flash, Jackie fidgets, Doug looks, and Chris clears his throat, puts down the folder and drops the first bomb as if it were just another Tuesday. The tension in the room builds. "Your Honor," he begins, "I've been silent for years, but I think it's time they see the rest because we're halfway through this mess." When he opens the folder, he discovers that it includes not just any texts, but also ones that have been highlighted, time-stamped, annotated, and printed out. These were between Jackie and Chris during what she once described in public as a very confusing time. At 2:14 a.m., Chris read aloud a perplexing note from Jackie that read, "Doug believes I'm at my sister's. I miss how you see me. I feel alive when I'm with you." Abruptly, the atmosphere thickens and the court falls silent. As though he had just been tasered, Doug opens his mouth. Jackie looks straight ahead without blinking, leaving the audience in a state of shock. Journalists text their editors frantically, bloggers scramble to go live, and even stenographers give the judge the side eye by asking, "Do I have to type this?" But Chris goes on to discuss another message that was sent just 6 months earlier. "I sometimes wonder what might have happened if we hadn't let fear rule us when I watch Chantel. I still have that Maui picture." Doug looks at Jackie, shock, grief, and rage all mixed together in his eyes. You see, this wasn't just a one-time incident from the early 2000s. It was about ongoing dishonesty. The worst part is that Chris says there is a lot more to this story, including Jackie actively playing both sides while claiming to be the perfect example of love and loyalty in public. In addition to attesting to their continued emotional and possibly physical relationship, some of the messages Jackie allegedly deleted were discovered in his backup messages, suggesting Jackie used Doug's money and reputation to hide her true intentions.
Trust me, but brother Chris, man, they gonna lie about this, they gonna lie about that. It's part of this world called the internet. You really can't believe everything you see on the internet that they say about people, but what the fuck is true?
This woman had 2 lives, one in public with Doug and one in private with me. And when she told me to play nice, I did. But after what I've seen in these past few weeks, I'm done, Chris tells the court. Twitter explodes in a matter of minutes. Jackie tries to whisper something to her lawyer. The judge tries to restore order, and Doug sits trembling, face pale, hands clenched, staring at a spot on the floor as if it will open and swallow him whole. But the crowd is consuming it. Trends for Weber Brooks worldwide. Screenshots of earlier Basketball Wives episodes are shared, emphasizing Jackie's mysterious absences, her enigmatic remarks, and her late-night phone calls. Fans appear to be working on it full-time because they are so composed when a second leak happens, this time from a source close to the court proceedings. In one of the messages Chris allegedly decided not to read out loud, Jackie allegedly stated, "I've thought about leaving him more times than I can count. You are the only person I can confide in with the truth. Don't make me regret this." According to the facts, Chantel may have always suspected that something wasn't right about her paternity. Jackie told Chris to keep quiet because she wasn't ready to blow up the empire, and the legal team is allegedly trying to retrieve a deleted video call from Jackie's old phone.
That's what we want to know. Is everybody off with what they say, brother Chris, about what's happening? Because people get information and people say, I don't like the fact that people say, "Oh, he talking about Corey and 5150. So we didn't say nothing about him like that, because I watched again what we said.
Yeah.
Chris, you said you heard,
right?
And we heard things about this, that, and the other. And I was talking about having people over around your wife, and I stand on everything I said.
You think that's it? Please. Chris wraps up his testimony in a composed manner, as though he hadn't thrown a match into a pile of family secrets soaked in gasoline. He folds the papers and returns to his seat. But Doug's lawyer rises and requests a brief respite. One witness says they heard Jackie whisper he promised he'd never read those out loud as they were leaving the courtroom. In just 10 minutes, Jackie seems to have aged 10 years. Chris nods to the press as he walks away without expressing regret, saying, "Sometimes the truth hurts, sometimes it heals. Either way, it's overdue."
But that's that. If anyone else that wants some insight and a story or some tools of how to get through the distractions, how to stay focused during the bull, go get my book.
In the meantime, Doug finally snaps in the hallway of the courthouse. He allegedly slams his hand against the wall and yells, "He betrayed me, my own brother," before rushing past security and disappearing into the back conference room. As reporters swarm the scene and microphones are pushed in people's faces, a Shade Room journalist attempts to confirm whether Doug and Chris were ever close behind the scenes. Another claims that there is more security camera footage from a Sacramento hotel in 2021 that allegedly shows Jackie and Chris fighting, calling this not just a scandal, but a full-fledged media massacre. Because instead of just asking what actually happened, people are now interested in how long Jackie has been feigning to be in a relationship with Chris, what did Doug know, and when does Chantel also communicate with her parents? The floodgates are open and the water is poisonous. As this chaotic mess spills over into the next phase of the trial, all eyes are on the upcoming witnesses. Rumor has it that Doug himself may testify, and his testimony could either save him or destroy Jackie's last remaining credibility forever. If anyone believed that Chris Webber's outburst in court was the end of it, they should reconsider, because he wasn't just carrying one receipt. Even after the judge reestablished order and Doug was removed from the courtroom, he persisted in shouting, "You lied to me, Jackie." Chris calmly adjusted his tie, turned back to the stand as if nothing had happened, and took out his phone. "With permission from the court, I would like to read a few text messages aloud," he said, deadpan. In fact, you could hear gasps from the gallery. Jackie's lawyers murmured frantically. Her face went white and her hands trembled in her lap. But Chris Webber stayed deadly calm and started reading. On July 8, 2016, Jackie wrote to Chris, "I wish I could tell Doug the truth, but he'd never recover. You were the only one who ever made me feel safe." The courtroom froze on August 12, 2017. Jackie informed Chris, "He's so focused on coaching that he doesn't even notice when I sneak out." "You could always be heard," one juror whispered. "Oh my God." Chris persisted in reading year after year, message after message, a digital trail of deceit and manipulation, and a woman who had clearly built a whole second life behind Doug's back. The worst part, however, is that some of the messages were not just emotional, but also logistical. "Get things organized. We'll act like it was a charity trip so he won't ask me if I bring Chantel. You're more than just her biological father because you've been there longer than Doug." Jackie's face dropped into her palms. Chantel, who had been hiding in the hallway, was said to have been heard sobbing uncontrollably. A court clerk with a box of tissues came up to Jackie. Meanwhile, Twitter went viral. Jackie Christie went viral in just 14 minutes. But it wasn't finished yet. The big one came next. So no. Chris scrolled slowly and said, "This one's from just last year." On March 18, Jackie informed me, "Doug is broke and I'm tired of pretending you and I built Chantel's future, not him. You ought to have been the one to walk the red carpet." Everyone in the courtroom fell silent, and you could practically hear Jackie's reputation breaking into tiny pieces. But the judge seemed equally shocked. One courtroom reporter posted on Twitter, "I've covered 9 murder trials. Nothing compares to what I just witnessed." Then came the aftershock because Jackie didn't scream, say anything, or deny. Instead, she whispered something that no one heard at first, but lip readers online claimed she said he wasn't allowed to keep those. Just keep in mind that he wasn't supposed to keep those, not that he's lying or that they're fake. Without even meeting Jackie's eyes, Chris Webber walked past her as he left the stand. Before the bailiffs escorted him out the side door, paparazzi snapped a photo of him smiling in the hallway. Demonstrators gathered outside the courthouse holding signs that read "Justice for Doug" and exposed the network of lies, causing chaos. Chantel, who is now the reluctant center of attention, posted a black square on Instagram with no caption, only confirming rumors that she is no longer seeing her mother. But wait, it gets worse, because Jackie's lawyer attempted to contest the admissibility of the messages back in court, but the judge swiftly ended that. "This court has a duty to truth," she said, "and if these messages are true, the consequences go far beyond domestic conflicts." Boom, we're speaking now. Identity manipulation through fraudulent perjury. Let's make things more confusing. According to some legal experts, Jackie may have violated marital financial disclosure laws by lying to Doug about her LLC's property filings. Remember, those LLCs are already under investigation for fraud involving charities. Doug Christie is in a holding cell and could receive a 5-year sentence for aggravated assault. Chris Webber recently showed the court a digital timeline of an emotional affair that spans Chantel's entire life. After Jackie was caught lying under oath, state prosecutors launched a formal investigation into all financial transactions related to her nonprofit foundation, which only reported $18,000, 0 cents in community impact spending in 2020, despite receiving over $1,200,000, 0 cents in donations. The others were nowhere to be found. There's also a plot twist. Recently, Doug's former assistant came forward to reveal that he once personally delivered a manila envelope to Chris Webber at Jackie's request. He says he didn't know what was inside. She just told him to get this to Chris and don't tell Doug. I didn't ask, but now, man, I feel like I was helping to hide something really evil. The court is currently reviewing CCTV footage from Jackie's home, emails from her public relations team, and internal receipts from the Christie family's LLCs. Investigators are reportedly preparing to subpoena Doug and Jackie's business associates, and the fans, well, they're divided. Doug's supporters are calling for his release, claiming that he is the real victim of this whole circumstance. Chris Webber recently posted a black and white selfie to social media with the caption, "Truth Legacy," and Jackie's fans are growing suspiciously silent. Everything will change drastically in part 3, and just when you think the courtroom can get any messier, someone else strikes. This time, the blow is emotional, psychological, and career-ending rather than physical. Not even the finale has arrived yet. Still wrapped in bandages from Doug's earlier attack, Chris Webber sat quietly in the witness chair. The court was tense. Jackie stared at him as if he were a specter from a previous life she thought was behind her. Doug Shackled sat beside his legal team, red-faced but simmering beneath the surface. Following that, the bailiff presented the judge with a sealed envelope from Chris Webber's attorney that included 32 pages of text messages exchanged between Jackie and Chris Webber over a number of years. We're talking late at night. We've missed your covert vacation preparations. There was also an enigmatic message that read, "Doug will never know he trusts me too much." The judge blinked in disbelief and the courtroom gasped. Jackie seemed to want to sink her head into the floor. The prosecution requested that the texts be admitted as evidence to demonstrate motive and emotional deception. No defense was offered. All they could say was, "Oh, no, boss, it didn't stop there." The next recording in line was the audio from Jackie's voicemail, which she had left while on one of Doug's coaching trips overseas. "I still think about us," she uttered in a sensual, intimate tone. "Chris, spending that weekend in Malibu wasn't a mistake. I just didn't think I would still be in love with you." Boom. Jackie put her hands over her face. Chantel ran out of the courtroom. Instead of flinching, Doug simply stared at the ground, his jaw clenched so tightly that it seemed on the verge of breaking. As the court tried to gather itself, Chris finally stood up. "I didn't come here to destroy lives, but I'm not going to be silenced any longer," he said. "At the time, I respected Jackie's concealment of our relationship, which went beyond a casual affair. But I had to come clean now that Doug is incarcerated for something that came about as a result of all these secrets." Social media was already exploding. The hashtag Justice for Doug went viral in just a few minutes. On YouTube, TikTok, and Twitter, there are slowed down courtroom videos with dramatic music overlays, fan theories, and reaction videos. One TikToker posted a full reenactment in less than 30 minutes, and another by the end of the day started selling shirts that said, "Jackie's lies ain't rebound material." Despite VH1's public declaration that they were reassessing Jackie Christie's role in future Basketball Wives productions, the fallout persisted back in the court. Doug's lawyers contended that years of betrayal had emotionally and psychologically manipulated him, justifying his outbursts as a brief episode of insanity. The fact that Jackie had scheduled secret meetings as recently as last year during season 12 filming, according to photographic evidence provided by Chris Webber's team, suggested that producers may have been aware of it, and if so, the upcoming lawsuits. Jackie's lawyer hurried to protect her reputation and prepare her for potential perjury charges because she had previously submitted a sworn statement denying any emotional or physical contact with Chris Webber after 2003. Unfortunately, it wasn't the last twist of the day. The court was about to adjourn when a mystery envelope was slipped under the door of the judge's chamber. Inside was a flash drive labeled in bold red letters, "If you don't play this, you're complicit in the cover-up." Sources claim that it contains home security footage that allegedly shows Chris Webber breaking into Doug and Jackie's mansion at 2:14 a.m. last year. Jackie was home, but Doug wasn't. That same weekend, Jackie posted the now deleted Instagram caption, "Some people you never really unlove. Are you still breathing, boss?" Because this is where things get really crazy. If it turns out that Jackie tampered with the evidence or hidden relevant documents, she could face federal obstruction charges according to multiple insiders. Remember the LLCs involved in charity fraud? Can you guess who co-signed them using fake addresses associated with Beverly Hills short-term rentals? Indeed, precisely Jackie and Doug. After this entire courtroom drama may have just escalated into a multi-state investigation, what happens now that the IRS, FBI, and even the California Attorney General's office are investigating past tax returns and public donation records? Although Doug remains in custody and faces assault charges, his defense team is now contemplating a drastic shift in strategy, accusing Jackie of mental manipulation, financial fraud, and emotional betrayal. Will it succeed? We don't know, Doug, but we are aware of this. Christy is a broken man on trial after being deceived by Jackie Christie, the woman he spent decades defending. He is no longer the smiling, stoic former baller that we knew. Leaked witness lists indicate that Chantel will testify next week, and based on the rumors, she will be sharing her side of the story rather than defending her mother. Prepare yourself for what follows, because believe us, this isn't a Basketball Wives reunion. Rather, it's Jackie Christie's fall, and it has been censored. What do you think now? Doug, was Christy the victim of manipulation and decades of betrayal, or did his ego and anger cause him to become the very chaos he once protected Jackie from? Was Chris Webber brave enough to come forward? He was an opportunist with a Netflix deal in his back pocket. And Jackie? Oh, Jackie, is she the puppet master who finally ran out of strings? Or is she just a woman trying to keep her private affairs out of the public eye? There's no denying that this courtroom drama has fundamentally altered the norms of reality television drama. The IRS, the federal government, and every media outlet are now involved, not just VH1 viewers. This is a complete dismantling of a dynasty, not just another Basketball Wives episode. Don't blink though, because Chantel will be appearing in court next week, and rumors have it that she isn't defending anyone because she has trauma, receipts, and nothing to lose. Just wait until the daughter tells the truth, if you thought today's breakdown was explosive. We're serving the tea hot with every upload, so if you haven't already, subscribe now, because the lies are quickly being exposed. If you believe that karma is finally catching up with the Christies, share your wildest theory in the comments section. Who is going to testify next? What's on that flash drive, and how serious is this scandal? We reveal, we raise issues, we disrupt the internet, and this is just the beginning. That's why we don't keep quiet here. The secrets aren't dry, the court isn't done, and I'm not going anywhere. See you at the next explosion.